baby. Yo.
Yo,
What up? What up? What up, people? We back in the building. Oh man, we back in the building, y'all. What up, man? My wife is crazy. Love her to death, man. What's up, y'all? We back in the
sis.
building. Underrated. What up?
What up, brother? How you doing?
Yes, sir. We are back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Man, he's chefing it up, so y'all gotta excuse me.
Yeah, man. At 5:05 yard, I be doing a chopper with brother Ant at 5:05. So wherever this is over, y'all can come through. But I'm
Get your
doing this
volume up,
thing.
underrated. Get your volume up.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah, your volume down again.
What about now?
Yeah, 'cause it be sometimes it be feeling like you be falling back.
Okay. No, I'm saying I be doing a chop up on my channel 5:05 today with brother Ant. Y'all come through and stuff. But right now we gonna talk about this fight, this legendary
Yeah, yeah,
fight.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We gonna sit back and it's Throwback Thursday. First of all, welcome everybody. Hope everybody is having a blessed day so far. It's 4:20 in the afternoon. I hope everybody got to where they were going safe, man. Safe travels. I just finished going to pick up my bestie, and doing my thing, whatever. So we home now. But safe travels to everybody out there. We gonna get into this throwback boxing talk. Um, Zab Judah versus Floyd Mayweather. It happened April 8th of 2006. So we gonna chop it up about that because that was a wild one. We're gonna
Yeah.
get into that, and we're gonna get into why there was never a rematch. So let's get into it. So for my newcomers, my regulars, everyone, welcome to the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is where it goes down. At No Duck Zone podcast. What up, underrated?
What's good, family? Thanks for
I don't
having
know. I'm
me.
trying to be like you when I grow up.
Don't be like me, shit.
I mean, I'm trying to get all your 99,000 subscribers you got. You feel me?
Yeah, man. Look, all that 99,000 turned to billions. We good. Yeah, but I'm all right. I've been thinking and
Yeah.
stuff, and I've been thinking, and I've been looking forward. Like I'm looking forward to doing this show and me doing this card. Mayweather. I'm not really a Mayweather fan, but I not as a person, but I do respect his fight.
Yeah.
And Zab
Um.
Judah, as you know, from Brooklyn, so you know what time it is with that. One of my favorite fighters. I feel very underrated and stuff.
Hold on,
Um,
underrated. I don't know why you sound so low, bro. But maybe it's just me. Um. So, let's see. Zab Super Judah versus Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather. April 8th, 2006. Take me back to that day, underrated. What do you remember about that fight?
April 8th, the buildup, especially in New York. Zabs, as people say, because Zabs could beat the great Mayweather. He had the skills and stuff. And at that time, I say at that time in 2006 in New York, we didn't have that many champions as we was back in the 1990s. So Zab Zuda at the time was well in New York that we that was our own, and that fight was built up for a minute, you know, and so that spring of that going towards the spring of that year 2006, the build up. I'm sorry, the winter. I'm talking about the winter going to the spring. It was crazy though. It was pandemonium. It was like, yeah, Zab fight Mayweather. It was big back then. So finally,
Um.
finally got
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, underrated.
so that fight. I said for me, New York was like, yeah, you know. So You know, the whole
Um,
press conference was crazy and stuff. So you know,
yeah, yeah. Okay, let me close the windows in this house so I make sure I hear. Um, yeah, it was great for me. I remember when I first heard it. Right, I was actually I wasn't even living in New York. That's the crazy thing.
mm,
Um, I was actually living in Alabama. And I remember ordering the fight and watching it. And I actually watched the fight by myself.
mm,
Um, I was familiar with Floyd, but I was more. I mean, I was familiar from, of course, the Arturo Gotti fight and all that. But Zab, I had been really familiar with him. Him being a New York guy, Brooklyn. But I'm like, okay, this is going to be a highly anticipated. I'm like, this is going to be a great fight. This will be a big test for both guys. And at first in the beginning, it was looking interesting, man. And I'm like, all right, this is two of the best in here at the time. Um, and Zab, man, I just want to say this, man. I'm not gonna down the fighter. I'm not gonna, 'cause that's what we like to do. People like down fighters. I don't know if it was a stamina thing or was that disciplined enough where it was like what snapped and made him do what he do. Um, I don't know. I can't say. Man, what up? All I can say is that that's one of my favorite. I'm gonna just tell you like this on the radio. That's actually one of my favorite fights to go back and watch. It's one of my favorite fights to go back and watch, and I just remember round by round how that was giving Floyd a good one. Now, you know me, I'm not the guy that always says what rounds a guy won, because then I have to actually go back to actually look at some of that. But I know there was one particular round where Floyd's glove hit the canvas, and they never counted that. And I'm like, how do you not count that?
right,
I was
right.
I was pissed when I saw that because when they slowed it down in the replay, I said his glove clearly hit the canvas. How do you not count that?
Yes, it did. Right.
I believe it was the right glove or the left glove. It was one of those gloves. I didn't. So for me, I didn't understand that. But it was toe to toe action. I just think that Floyd was on a different level, and eventually in the later rounds, it started to show. And I think Zab talked to us about this before on the gram that I forgot how he put it, but it was just something that it happened and it just got crazy from there, man. It got crazy from there, and what happened, as far as the brawl and all that. But it was highly anticipated, man. It was still a great fight. I still say it was one of the greatest fights, no matter how it turned out. And look, they was able to finish it, after all that. I mean, we seen that happen with Andrew Galata and Riddick Bowen. Jesus Christ, there was no continuing it. There was no continuing it. So yeah,
Yeah. Also, I remember when that fight ended the way was. At the time, brother, you know, he felt that he let down New York and let down the people, but
you
at the
said you was
same time,
what?
I think when he lost the fight to Mayweather, he felt that he left New York down, but
Yeah,
He fought. I said he one of the few that he fought and everything. It just didn't work out. And I said if I ever want to talk to him on the IG, I would like tell him that you still was one of my favorite fighters, and at the same time, we proud of you. Because at the time, you gotta understand. At the time, there was quite a few people was avoiding Mayweather, for rightfully so.
yeah,
Because they don't want that out. They don't want that out. So he was one of the few that stepped up and put them
yeah.
numbers and put it on the line and stuff. So and I hope that one day hope when I like talk to him, and I definitely want to. And you gave me a good idea on the underrated boxing talk. Let's talk about the fighters that avoid other fighters. And so we can actually see that it was that's not we ain't fighting Mayweather, no, they was staying away, but he didn't, and I'm proud of him with that. So he didn't let us down in New York, and
I
I
believe
think
Zab belts were up on the line too for that.
yeah it was on the line, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that fight was at what was that? Was that at 40 or 47?
I
I believe it was 40.
It was one. I think it was 140.
Yeah, just to be sure, I think that might have been at 40 that happened. But either way you look at it, 40 or 47, um, either way you look at it, it was great. It was highly anticipated. No matter how it turned out, um, despite of people thinking, hey, maybe there was a chance that Zab could have beat him. I don't know. It's levels to this,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't take nothing from either man. And we needed that fight to happen, and I'm glad
Yeah.
it did. You know, a lot of people go, why didn't Floyd give Zab a rematch? So let me tell you, I remember meeting Floyd at Stephen A. Smith's. I came to New York about 2 months later. I came to New York. Mind you, this happened April of '06. I came to New York in June of '06
Mm.
to come up to visit, right? And Stephen A. Smith had his show. If anybody know, they know I'm not lying. He had a show called Quite Frankly.
Right.
And he had Floyd up there. And I had went to the show because they did the show in the same spot as the same area that they did the Murray show.
Mm-hmm.
They all were taking place in the same building, if I'm not mistaken. So I remember after that, Floyd came in the crowd and we were speaking to him. The first thing I asked Floyd, I said, Floyd, are you going to give Zab Judah a rematch? And he said, nah, for what, baby? That's easy work. I said, oh, shit. Now, see, then it wasn't no being on YouTube and you
No.
having a camera because then if I could have got that on camera, oh, man, that shit would have sparked something.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see them go at it again. But I guess in Floyd's eyes, it didn't make any sense. So, it is what it is, though.
But can I say something about that?
Yeah,
And I think that when I heard that and everything, that's when I had problems with Merriweather. That Zab put them titles on the side on the line. Why he can't return it? Why he cannot return to some sort of easy work? It wasn't all that easy work. You fight Zab, it sure
yeah.
wasn't. So I said so that's what I want people to understand. You understand what I'm saying, brother McClain, because that's what like some fighters you know Mayweather, yeah, you pick and choose, bro. And then a lot of people don't want to talk about that, but you pick and choose. Why you didn't get Zazu a shot? Why you say easy? I said I feel like this. If you feel if easy work, get him a tight. Let's run it back, run that shit back. I don't know about
Um,
other people, but
I
that's how I
think
felt.
that Floyd, in my opinion, he knew it wasn't as easy as he said, and At that time, I think a couple of people had got suspended. So I mean, I'm not saying that would stop the fight from happening, but it was just a lot that happened that it was too late to turn back. I would have loved to see them do it again. I would have loved to see them do a rematch and possibly brought it back to New York. They could have did it Madison Square Garden. You know how crazy that would have been.
Yeah,
Can you imagine 6 months later? It's what what's 6 months later? May, June, July, August, September, October. You talking about 6, 7 months later? October, November. Judah versus Mayweather two, Madison Square Garden. Come on, bro. Now,
yeah,
people, we talk about pay per view numbers today and what they did at the gate. You know what that would have did?
yes,
Do you know how epic that would have been? I don't think
yeah.
people know.
No, and right, and understand this though. Though at that time, we didn't. I'm talking about. You know,
Yeah.
the lower class was the box lower class at that time was not getting all that money as middleweight, light heavyweight, and stuff at the time, and so picture if that
Go
fight
ahead.
would
Keep
have
keep
been.
talking for a minute on the radio. Go ahead.
So the thing about understand that, yo, you know, the money aspect would have been off the roof, you know. So and there was people that said, let's give a rematch. Come on now, easy way, easy way. So
Yeah.
it was you know like the lower class. I mean, like I said, I mean the class. You know, you got the I mean, you know, because it was because you know the suit the 140, 147 at that time it was down. It was you know it wasn't nothing really popping back then. So when Mayweather and Zazuda, it helped revise you know those weight classes. And so I, I think that's the thing for me. It's like what could have been, they would have got him before the rematch. It later, I mean, in the fall of 2006, you know, that's Madison Square Garden, run it back like Brother McClain saying it. You know, they would have helped prepare boxing where it should. And so, but like I said, you know, always be proud of Zab Zuda, what he had done, and and one thing about Zab Zuda, he's not he ain't a quitter, you know. He did, and a lot of people don't give him credit as due. He never ducked from anybody. He backs it up. He put those titles on the line, and so how many fighters that we know these days that are like that? So shout out to Zab Zuda. I would like to talk to him on the IG. I would like to get him. I would like to get him on to talk to him on my channel. I really do. You know, so
Yeah.
I do, because I want to ask you a question how he deal with because, you know, after that loss and everything, you know, a lot, you know, I'm talking people in the media, they did him, they treat him dirty. But he put him tires on the line. He was not afraid of Mayweather. And the media did not
No.
treat him with respect.
No. And at that time, the division too was crazy. I think Kodo was around. Chop Chop was around, I believe, even though he
Yeah.
had full Chop Chop,
Yeah.
even though he got Chop, he got all these guys around, and the division looked like something back then. Not saying it's nothing now today. I'm just you know
Yeah, but they wasn't getting the money as they getting right now,
yeah, they wasn't.
you know. And that's the thing about it, you know. So
Yeah, they wasn't. It's just different times today.
yeah.
But
So
it's I don't know when I think about that, and I just think about what if, man, what if we could have just. I don't dwell on it, but I just think about it sometimes. I go, yo, what if we could have got a part two, man?
Yeah,
It makes you think sometimes. Just what if?
yeah,
Like that fight was so good where you could have got a trilogy out of that.
yeah,
Like you think about Earl Spence and Crawford. If the first fight didn't go the way it did, and let's just say Earl dominated, and then Crawford came back in the second fight and dominated, then you like, yo, we gotta see it again.
yeah,
You know, like those, like that kind of vibe. But um, like you said, the times back then were much different, man. And Floyd actually showed he's on a different level.
yeah.
If you looked at Zab's face after, I mean, it
Yeah.
said it all, and it
Right.
said it even during the fight. He was getting a little frustrated.
Yeah, and that's why he was react a certain way when he went down. That was all. That was all frustration. You know.
Yeah, when I first seen him do it, though, that's the first thing I ain't gonna lie. I said, that's that Brooklyn shit. That's the first thing I say. That's the behavior of a Brooklyn dude.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna. I said after a while they gonna. I said they gonna fight you dirty. But I told people because they act like Zab was the first person to ever fight dirty like that, and I'm like, no, we've been seeing that going for centuries. You know what I'm saying? That's not the first time we seen that.
yeah,
But you know what? I like to always play a game of what if. If we'd have had Floyd and Zab around in the division today at 40 or 47, and they're in their prime in their 20s, what would both of them do today? And where do you think they both would be ranked?
You told me in 140,
Yeah, between 40 and 47. If Zab and
47.
Floyd,
I think both of them would have been high. I think they were both of them were highly ranked. Both of them probably would have been champions. And then in these days, you never know. Probably would have been a trilogy.
yeah,
You know? Because some of these fighters today, you know, we know Mayweather would have beat him, but definitely Zab. You got to put Zab to do that. He would have beat some of these fighters today, because he was. A lot of people don't know he was that skilled.
yeah.
He was skilled. So
I think both of them at 40 or 47 today, that would have been a problem
that was a big problem. Yes.
because it would have been Floyd, Zab, and Bruce Ennis.
Yeah. Then you gonna talk about we'll talk about the four kings, but then
Josh
who
Sanders
probably
said,
would have.
hold on, Josh Sanders says, come on. He said, fellas, Floyd and Zab would have literally cleaned out everyone and there would be at least two left standing. Yeah, it would be. If Floyd and them is in their 20s right now and they're in 40 or 47,
It would have been
yeah,
easy work.
yeah, they're cleaning it out.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. One of them would have fought Boots though. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's something to think about.
yeah, man.
Like I
That
always
gives you
say,
something to
think
kind of
about.
gives you something to think about. But you're right though, because right now at 47, who's really there? For those two in particular. Nobody. So therefore, Zab and Floyd would have been having their way. And what also means they would have had to end up fighting anyway each other.
Yep.
Like I said, Boots would have been the only thing in the way. Standing on this is good. To see Stanley Onis and Zab would have been cool. I don't know how that would have went. Floyd would have dismantled Boots. Damn. Damn, Josh.
I can't. I don't know
Damn.
that. Nah, I disagree with that one because to me, I didn't mean to get off the subject. To me, Boots is getting better and better and better, and I'm saying that you know, you know, a lot of people don't understand that Boots Ennis he gets stronger in later rounds and stuff. Floyd usually trying to get people out of there before the later rounds. Now Zazuda went later, late, yes, but that's one of the few times Floyd, had won in the later rounds. So
You said Floyd in his prime as Pretty Boy. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Because what Floyd did to what he did to Chico Corrales, that shit was embarrassing.
that was come on that
But
come
Chico
on
was undefeated, just like he was. He embarrassed Chico.
he about that that's like you in the major leagues and he in the
You
big
know it's
leagues.
bad when your father got to stop the fight.
Yeah,
I commend Chico for wanting to keep going, but he
right.
wasn't gonna win.
Yeah.
Wasn't gonna win. But just to see what those two with Arturo Gotti had, yeah, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Arturo Gotti did have it worse though. Rest in peace to Chico and Arturo.
Yeah. Yeah, he did him real dirty.
Yo, he dismantled Gotti,
Yeah.
and he did that like in 5 rounds. The 5, 6 rounds he did it. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That most of Floyd knockouts is within 5 or 6 rounds. Just like I said, just a few he went in the later rounds. And
But
so like
he told everybody before the fight, he said, I'm gonna embarrass you. And he ain't say he was gonna embarrass him like that though.
but I'm saying, let's be honest though. He did a tall Gotti, God bless him, more dirtier than he did Corrales though. We gotta agree with that though.
You said what?
I said, we gotta be honest. Mayweather did a tall Gotti, God bless him, more dirtier than Corrales. Also, God bless him.
Yeah.
I said, damn.
Um. Yeah. He didn't have some. Floyd didn't have some moments. Sometimes we tend to forget that because we keep focusing on the Floyd today. We keep focusing on who he didn't fight or who he should have fought. But you can't discredit
No, you can't
um
discredit what he done.
his record. So what? All right, he picked Conor McGregor. Okay, well, so what? I didn't agree with it, but it is what it is.
They both agree to fight each other. So what? That's
Yeah, it is what it is, though. But
yeah.
when you look at everybody else, he did what he was supposed to. Yeah, Kodo was definitely tough.
And also Sugar Shane Mosley too.
Yeah, Shane almost got him out of there.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
When you look at even Zab's record, Zab got a few names on there. Zab got a few. Zab got a future. He got a couple Hall of Famers on there.
Yeah.
I was mad about the one fight that he didn't have. I don't know if you remember. I think this is back in '08, '09 maybe. Zab and Shane Mosley was scheduled to fight, but due to Zab having an accident, I think it was something that happened in the shower. They had an. It was something where he was in the shower. I don't know. It was something he messed something up where he had to get stitches. I remember them telling the story, but Shane Mosley and Zab Judah were supposed to fight. Why it never happened after, I don't know why. But I wanted to see that one. He said, hold on. Shane was tough first two rounds because round 3 to 12, Floyd embarrassed Shane. Yeah, I think he just at that time Shane, even though Shane wasn't old, still though, it was like his stamina wasn't there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that when Shane fought Mayweather, he was in the game 10 plus years. He fought quite a few championship rounds. So, father time will start, to sit in. We have to think about that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, I was like, you know what? I never got to ask Shane. I mean, ask Shane. I never got to ask Zab. I'm gonna ask him next time I speak to him, Mike. Why that fight never went? Why it never went down? I know why it didn't went down the first time, but why it didn't?
why there wasn't a follow up? Like that was another fight that could have been.
Who?
Mm.
Who you said?
I said Shane Mosley and Zab. That was another fight could have been.
I
Mm.
know. That's what I just said. Zab and Shane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that just like I wanted to see. I heard Paul Williams and Floyd was supposed to fight. I think something happened on Paul Williams' side. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. But you can't discredit
No.
neither one of their records.
No.
Um, when it was time for Zab to fight, he showed up.
Yeah.
He goes, so he fights Corey Spinks, right? Corey comes to New York and Corey gets the W, which that didn't do nothing but piss Zab off. Because now when Zab goes to St. Louis in his backyard, he gets the stoppage.
Mm-hmm.
And he hurt Corey bad.
Very bad.
He hurt Corey so bad. You know how usually if you don't think the fight will get stopped, you react to it like, yo, ref, what the fuck you doing? Corey just stood there like, oh, I love you. Thank you. Or he had this look of like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Usually people put up an argument if they feel like you stopped the fight. He was just on some like stuff.
Yo. Zad took Brooklyn to St. Louis. I'm just letting you know that right now. He was pissed. That was Brooklyn that night.
Yeah, his dad was really on his, and it was crazy because Zab said he was getting death threats when they was in St. Louis. They was getting death threats. You know how hard that is. That's enough for you to call a fight off and go, man, I'm taking my ass back to the East Coast.
Yeah, but that added a few. Okay.
Oh yeah, you know what? Just for your people saying they gonna do something to me, I'm
Okay.
taking it out on your ass.
Yup, and that's what happened. That
And
Brooklyn
that's what he
came
did.
out.
He beat
That
the
Brooklyn
hell
came
out of
out.
him. I said, oh,
It was personal.
it was real personal, and it might have not been nothing with them, but when you have people threatening you, you have to take those threats serious. Because you got people out here that's crazy that'll really do something to you. Kind of like when Larry Holmes fought Jerry Cooney, and he said he was getting death threats.
You get that? Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You getting death threats. Now I'm really gonna whoop your ass now. And you see how it turned out for Jerry Cooney.
And let me
See
say
what Larry
this.
Holmes did to him.
Yeah, and also when I look at that fight, in New York, in New York, Jerry Cooney's from New York.
You
Them
said
people
what?
like Jerry Cooney.
Yeah,
Them people in Long Island was actually threatening Larry Holmes.
yeah.
It
You know,
was
you
like,
threat.
yeah, it was real.
You getting to threatening people. Some people are fear for their safety. Um, and then you got those that go, you know what? We're not canceling this fight.
No.
I'm going to go in there and I'm going to whoop your ass just because your people. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just add more. You know, that's why people need to stop getting into their feelings. Don't be threatening these fighters. Don't be threatening the team. Don't be threatening you know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna make it bad.
Yeah, and
You make
also
it, you make it real bad for the other fighter.
yeah, and get back to that fight you're talking about. Zazu to get Corey Spinks. He woke up. Zab was woke up, but after that, he really woke up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zab was like, all
He
right, I
really
check this
woke up.
out. You gonna threaten me? I'm gonna run through your whole. I'm gonna run through your whole squad. Your man Spinks came out and gave us a concert. Came out with Nelly. I said,
Oh yeah.
damn man, how you come out with Nelly, and then when you get stopped, you hear Brooklyn music.
Right.
You get stopped, you hear Brooklyn music. I come from Bed-Stuy. They put the Lil Kim lighters up. Man, why y'all do him like that, man? God damn.
I laugh.
Oh Lord.
I laughed that night. That was funny. And going to something at New York, man. God damn. Yeah, man.
It was great though.
Yeah.
Um, Floyd versus Ab was great, and I wish it could have been a part two to it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that these fights that we have today, we have to continue on giving us the best fights, and not just one time, but a second time. Now, sometimes a second time don't make sense. Depends
Yeah.
on what happened in the first one. Oh, depends on what I guess what's in the contract. If there's a rematch clause, but we need to keep that going. You know how many times I say, you know, what would boxing would have been like if we could have got if we could have got Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis in a trilogy. Man, first of all, the first press conference you would have had to separate them two.
Yep.
You would have had to separate them. They would have had to do separate press conferences, like Jerry Cooney and Larry Holmes, like Mike Tyson and Lennox. Lennox had to do, I think, separate weigh-ins because they couldn't be in the same area. I think Ricardo Mayorga and Fernando Vargas. I think there was like a glass between them. There's people that you can't have in the same space because all hell is bound to break loose. But it was a great one. April 8th of 2006 will always go down in history. And like I said, the brawl got nasty. You know, Zab did what he did, and you know what? People say that Roger Mayweather started it, but you know how I feel like this? If your nephew or somebody, one of your loved ones, get hit low blow in his nuts, are you supposed to just stand there? At the end of the day, that's his nephew.
Right.
But also, was Yoel Judah supposed to stand there and watch Roger Mayweather get in his son's face. Now Yoel got a job to do. So it causes everybody, yo, Trap X, what up? It causes everybody to get excited. Now both sides get involved. Now we got Vegas police involved. And even though they was able to clear the brawl, thank God, because you remember, go back 10 years prior to that, when Andrew Galata and Riddick both fought, it wasn't no type of security then, but the old guys, and they couldn't do nothing against a bunch of guys that was in their 20s. So when that brawl broke out, oh man, it wasn't no security around. You see, after that, they started upping the security, not just at the Garden, but at every venue, they started upping the security. Because if anything broke out, you had innocent people getting hurt. So, but I'm glad that they was able to restore order and they was able to get back to the fight. Floyd said, I wasn't going to sit there and participate in the brawl. I wasn't going to mess my money up. And Floyd was smart because I believe he was the only one that didn't get fined. Roger got fined. I think Yoel. I don't know. I never heard nothing about Yoel getting fined, but I'm sure he did. And Leonard Ellaby. So Floyd was the only one that walked away with his money. Zab, of course, you know he got fined. He was suspended for a minute. I think about a year. I don't think we seen Zab come back until it was time for the Cotto fight, if I'm not mistaken, which was the following year. So it was great. That was great for 2006, man, and we got to just keep things like that going. I'm gonna be bringing these throwback talks back, though, man. I don't know who we're gonna do next week, but I'm bringing it back. Um, I'm gonna think of who I'm gonna bring back. We're gonna take it back, though. Underrated.
Definitely.
We're gonna take it back. Matter of fact, we're gonna talk about the no. See, I talked about Larry before, so I don't think I could bring Larry up again. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I gotta get somebody else that I haven't spoken about. I never got to get into James Tony, I don't think. I'll think of who and then I'll come on back with it and we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
We'll discuss who we wanna bring back and talk about or I don't know. It takes some time for me to think because there's so many throwback fighters that we could talk about. But I know you get ready to do your show, right? What time your show getting started?
505 already posted in the chat.
Okay, 5:05. Posted in the chat. I didn't need to be on here 2 hours. I was on here. What's been on here? What 43 minutes? 43 minutes is good enough. Because of course I'll be back in the morning. So we gonna do this again. Everybody go subscribe to my brother Underrated Darkness. Like, share, subscribe. He's getting ready to go on. So go over there, show my brother some support. Underrated, I love you like cook food.
Yeah, I love you too, man. I love you like Bronx Bigs, man. Yo,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I gotta hit that buffet in the Bronx, man. I gotta hit that liquor store on
Yeah,
141.
smash that like button. We
Yeah.
gonna catch y'all. Let's all go over the Underrated Darkness. 3 minutes he's on. Let's all go over there. Love y'all. Everybody safe travels to where y'all going. Make sure you smash that like button. Y'all know what it is. It's the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go.
Let's go, Paris.
Peace.